Queer gaming, as defined by Jack Halberstam, is a method of gaming that's designed to break the norms of the way a game is supposed to be played. This can include, but does not necessarily mean, glitching the game, as well as metagames, making a game within the main video game itself. The idea is to reject the traditional win-loss structure, embracing failure as a means of forging our own path. With this in mind, I thought it would be interesting to experiment with playing Atari games in a queer manner. Atari, as a video game company, was on top of the world in the late 70s and early 1980s. Their flagship system, the Atari VCS, or 2600, was revolutionizing the gaming world at the time. However, though Atari and their early publishers were innovators within the video game scene, the hardware limitations of the time mean that their games are very simple, which I would imagine would not leave a lot of room for experimentation. This is why I decided that it would be an interesting experiment to see if there were any way to play their games queerly. With that being said, this is Queering Atari.
Crystal Castles, released in 1983, is a maze game in which the player tries to navigate Bentley Bear through a series of mazes, collecting crystals, while avoiding smiley faces, trees, and tornadoes. In terms of playing this game queerly, what I ultimately came up with was jumping over the enemies to see how many times I could do it, aka leapfrog mode. Crystal Castles is one of those games that messes with your depth perception, so let's see how I do.
Okay, let's see how many times I can do it.
In Activision's pressure cooker, the player takes the role of a chef creating burgers. Run into the correct ingredients to put them on the sandwich, and press the button to bounce the incorrect ones back. When the order is complete, just go down and place it in the correct box. Personally, I'd have to say I'm a picky eater, so I decided to defy the game's orders by only making burgers I would eat, those being plain and with cheese.
Okay, I know how to do it. I know how to do it now. I understand it now. Okay. Put some cheese. Then I gotta put another piece of cheese. There. And now I can eat my double cheeseburger. That's how you do it. That's the meta. Okay. I'll eat a plain burger too. That's something I'll eat. Alright. Another plain burger. Excellent. Let's see if it'll go. Nope. Okay. So we put the lettuce on there. Alright, looks like we're having another plain burger. See, that was the strat. I knew. Nope.
Basketball is basic to a ludicrous degree. Just one-on-one street ball and everything is 2 points. Block, shoot, steal until the time runs out. But it's actually after time expires when the real queer gaming can begin. Though that timekeeping and score stop, the game does not. The 2 players or 1 player and computer can keep balling in perpetuity. This goes back to what we discussed as the game's antithesis, play. There aren't as many constraints here. Players may shoot back and forth as long as they choose. The screen even changes colors, and sometimes the court lines disappear. It's a bit serene, honestly, and perhaps the clearest example of defying the game's normal rules. In Worm War I, the player must fly a ship upwards, shooting worms and barriers while managing a shrinking gas tank. Pressing up on the joystick makes the ship fly faster, but it also depletes the gas quicker. In this game, I thought the most obvious way to queer it would be to become a pacifist, so I drove as slow as possible and didn't shoot any worms. However, this quickly became boring, and so I switched to what I called GTA mode. Here, I drove as fast as possible, ignoring gas and firing continuously. Though I didn't get a good high score, it was quite fun in a sick sort of way. In conclusion, it's more possible than I'd have thought to queer Atari games, especially with examples like basketball. Each have little quirks that allow for some bending of normal modes of play. One theme that I noticed emerging is that of anti-authority. I'm not beholden to my unseen manager and pressure cooker. The invisible referees can't make me stop playing basketball if I don't want to, and I can be a conscientious objector and more one. Essentially, by breaking the rules, I'm battling against the procedural rhetoric of the games I'm playing. If you have the chance, I'd highly recommend you do like the commercials say, and play some Atari today.